Okay, welcome to Project 1. So you should have all of your people and your files in here. You should have between 8 to 10 people interacting with each other in a narrative. You could choose to start with one of these as your base, or you could choose to start from an empty area. The things that are most important is that they were all shot at the same time so that you have consistent lighting and color, and that the camera itself does not move, right? Just the figure. All right, so I'm going to start from this one. Double click to open in Photoshop. Let's get this all in there. And I'm going to save as last name underscore project 1. And a JPEG does not support layers, so I'm going to save it as a PSD. Hit save. And then we're ready to start bringing in other parts. Let me reset Amy. Okay. File. What I like to do is File, Open. Open the next one. Hit Open. Grab the crop tool, make sure this is selected, and then crop a nice generous shape. Grab the Move tool, pull this tab aside, and then grab this layer and drag it over. And now you have another little piece. Make sure that you name all of your layers. You could call this gray sweater. Sounds good. And then to edit out the additional information that we don't need, add the layer mask. Grab the brush. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Black and white are my foreground and background. I have pretty soft brush. I'm going to bring the hardness up just a little. And then with black in the foreground, I'm going to start hiding where the images overlap. You might need to readjust where the layer is by using the Move tool, move it up or move it down. You can also change the opacity of the layer if there's something that's not moving, like the top of this couch, and it lines up perfectly. And bring the opacity back up. Zoom in. Get the brush. Use the brackets next to the letter P. And then we're going to go around the figure, getting as close as we can. If you use a very soft brush, sometimes the feather will go into the body, and you'll actually get figures that you can kind of see through. So let me show you what I mean by that. Bless you. So if the hardness is all the way down and you're working around the edges, sometimes you see how the edges can get a little transparent, and you can lose fingertips and parts of the bodies that you can see through. That's why I like to keep the hardness maybe at 20 to 30. I'm going to hit X to bring that in so I have a nice defined edge. Okay. Hit X to kind of clean that up a little bit. You don't want it to look like it has a halo or it has an outline. You want it to match as perfectly as possible so that it does look like a composite. Got a couple more. I'm not going to do all of these, whoops, because we'll be here all day. If your mask needs a little bit of help, what you can do is, over in the layers, double click on the mask, and it will bring up the properties panel for that mask. You could feather the edges of the mask, soften them up a little bit. Now in this case, when we do that, you can see this line, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go to Mask Edge, and I can smooth them out here. I could shift the edge out if I went in too close, or I could shift it in. I might just kind of leave it. I can feather it a little here. And when I hit OK, it will adjust my layer mask. Usually then I just like to go around the edges with a semi-soft brush. Hit mask edges again. Shift the edge in a little bit. Hit OK. There will be a little bit of this figure interacting with this figure, so that looks pretty good. And then you do that again. You have a layer mask here. When you turn it off, you can see just that little chunk. Click and turn it back on. You go File, Open, grab the next figure, hit Open, crop, make sure Delete Crop Pixels is selected, crop it, hit Return, pull that window down so they are both floating, drag that layer over, and zoom out, line it up, and the words here make it pretty easy. Take the opacity down. There you go. Let's see. It's pretty good. The camera may have moved a little bit, not enough to worry about. And then add the layer mask, name it, upside, grab that layer mask, make sure your layer's at 100, grab the brush, and start editing. If one layer has different lighting than another, you may need to add an adjustment layer that will affect just that one layer. So let me show you what I mean by that. So you're going to take the time to do this right. You don't want very soft edges like that, which is why I zoom in and make sure that I'm not actually cutting into the figure. I can hit X to go back out, and then X to put black in the front again to make sure that I'm editing just around the figure and not cutting into the figure. If you needed to do a clipping mask of an adjustment layer, say this figure in the middle here was too darker than the other figures, go select that layer. You could take a levels, lighten up that figure so that she matched the other figures. Right now, it's a global adjustment affecting everything below it. But if I just want it to affect the layer just below it, if you hold on the Option key and you hover between those two layers, and you'll see that little icon of the down arrow, and you click, it becomes a clipping mask. So what is happening here is this levels layer is clipped into gray sweater and will only affect gray sweater. So if you have some inconsistencies with lighting or color balance, this is how you can fix it. And then hit save. Okay?